Good morning, traders. It is Thursday, November 21st. Taking a look at the charts. Yesterday, we saw the equities market have a pretty good sell off in the afternoon and some strong high volume selling. We've seen it happen a few times. Definitely during this sideways range here, we saw some good intraday distribution selling, meaning some big players are unloading large chunks of positions, but they're not crashing the market. They're just unloading, and then they let the market continue to drift higher, and they kind of rinse and repeat as they slowly unload their positions. Yesterday, we saw the same type of price action again. Another big bout of selling, looked a little more news based in terms of how it quickly dropped like that. But overall, again, these dips are still getting bought back up, but we're starting to break through this 5-day moving average. We're breaking through it a lot over here, and then yesterday we definitely broke through it, closed below it. Today we're stuck under it, and the market is recovering back up. And if we look at the 30-minute chart here, you can see where we are in the grand scheme of things. The shorter term trends came down. Yes, this is yesterday's regular trading hours. Again, this is overnight trading, pre-market trading. Yesterday, overnight, pre-market. And you can see here, big crack to the downside yesterday, rebounded back up. Overnight futures opened up much lower and had some pretty good volatility last night. And we're starting to hook back up. And we're getting stuck under this, at this point, we're underneath this 200 period moving average. We're near yesterday's, not quite near the high, but we're back up to where the big selling stepped back in yesterday. You could argue this was a crack to the downside. This is more of a bearish tone, and we'll see if selling picks up and we start to see the markets crack to the downside, or if they're going to recover. Again, the trend is still up, but the price action here is starting to show signs of weakness, that we're breaking through the 5 days, starting to lose that momentum, and we might see some further selling take place. Now, if we take a look over at the safe havens bonds this morning, gapped higher, pushed up, and today they're starting to sell back down a bit. Again, they're at the 50-period moving average. They're testing all these little highs right through here, and of course through this 2-day kind of topping formation, strong pop, reversal down. So it is going to be struggling here with some resistance. This level, if you look at the chart, is a little significant resistance zone. You go through the chart where it's trading. We had a consolidation through here. We had 3 days trade through here. Very significant pivot bar through here. It's hard to see, but we had 3-4 days there, a tag low, 3 days there, whole whack of days, the highs touched, and then this previous kind of quick pop and drop move. So this is a pivot zone for bonds. We could see bonds pull back, pause a little bit. They are somewhat in a bullish momentum. They still haven't made a higher low or a higher high yet. They're stuck in this range, but the momentum is actually to the upside. We could see a little pullback before it takes a run and potentially takes another move to bring it to some higher highs. If we take a look over at precious metals, gold down 0.25% this morning. Again, it had a big drop here. It's consolidating. It has a bearish tone to it at this point. Looks like a bear flag, and it's kind of struggling here. But obviously, if the stock market starts to break down, we're going to see gold start to move up. Gold and silver tend to have this type of move where it'll come down and then it'll flag here, and then it'll kind of have a hook up and then have a big reversal back to the downside. We'll see how things play out. Again, if the equities market does start to break down, we are going to see the safe havens start to perform well and potentially start the next major run going forward. So overall, the trend is down. Short-term, long-term trend, this is a major bull flag and still a very strong pattern. Looking forward a month or two from now, we should be higher. Looking over at energies, natural gas down 0.75%. We're starting to get, hopefully it's another one of these little tiny bear flags. We are net short with an inverse ETF. You can see we had the first drop, we had the first bear flag, we had another drop, which we almost hit our target. We were 10 cents off on our ETF. Overall, it is the 50-day and the 200-day moving average, which it came down, found support, had a bounce, but overall this is still another bear flag. We're under the 5-day moving average. With any luck, we're going to see this continue to flush down to this 240, potentially even 230 area going forward, and that'll put our inverse ETF into our favor and continue to move higher. Looking over at crude, crude is just all over the place. As you know, I haven't been a fan of it for a while. A pretty messy chart, lots of candle wicks to the upside, the downside, huge reversals and then reversal back to back. Like we had a huge down day one day. Yesterday took it all back again. It's a really hard market to swing trade. You can take a real beating in 1 or 2 days just because it's all over the place. Overall, it's more of this type of momentum here when you get these back to back. That's more of a day trader's type of play. If you are expecting the momentum to be strong, you just need to get into a direction intraday and play it. But as a swing trader, the market is really all over the place from the upper end of the range to the lower end of the range, and we're not looking to trade it just yet. Overall, I would like to see crude start to put in some type of topping formation and or some bearish formation going forward as we start to break potentially this trend line. And it could be a good inverse play for a drop going forward, as we've talked about. But at this point, it continues to really chop through this channel here, comes down and it's reversing back up, and now it's back into this kind of sideways channel here. All this volume that's traded. We looked at the XLE energy sector the other day. Here it is again. You can see we've got this more or less this support trend line across these lows here, where the market's been bouncing up, pierced it once, recovered, and more or less we've seen the energy sector already start to roll over. Crude is still holding its pattern, but we're seeing the energy sector start to break down. It's had a bounce up yesterday to the 5 and 50 day and almost up to the 20-day as well. Overall, it's breaking this trend line, and it could start to form a little bearish tone here. If oil breaks down, we're going to see this continue to flounder. And if natural gas sells off, obviously it's going to be hard on energy stocks. They're not going to make as much off their natural gas. So there is a potential here that the energy sector stocks, typically the stocks for a commodity, lead the price action. So we should see oil and natural gas continue to move down because the miners, or not the miners, the energy stocks are leading the way to the downside. Anyways, that's it for this morning. I'll talk to you in a little bit. Bye-bye.